Rubio congratulates Russians on Russia Day. US supports aspirations for a brighter future. Russia loses over 1 million troops in war against Ukraine. And Zelenskyy reveals why Putin fakes talks with Ukraine. The latest news next. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has congratulated Russians on Russia Day and stated that the US is seeking constructive engagement with the Russian Federation to bring about a durable peace between Russia and Ukraine, reported by Rubio's statement on the website of the US Department of State.
On behalf of the American people, I want to congratulate the Russian people on Russia Day. The United States remains committed to supporting the Russian people as they continue to build on their aspirations for a brighter future. We also take this opportunity to reaffirm the United States' desire for constructive engagement with the Russian Federation to bring about a durable peace between Russia and Ukraine. It is our hope that peace will foster more mutually beneficial relations between our countries.
What kind of moral collapse is this? While Ukraine bleeds, the US Department of State sends warm wishes to the people of the aggressor state on Russia Day, a holiday celebrating the rise of a nation that is currently committing war crimes, bombing cities, torturing civilians, and abducting children. How dare you speak of constructive engagement while mass graves are still being uncovered in Mariupol? How dare you speak of durable peace when the Kremlin's only goal is the destruction of Ukrainian sovereignty? This is not diplomacy. This is appeasement. This is weakness dressed up as pragmatism. You don't build peace by flattering dictators. You don't end genocide by shaking hands with the ones who started it. Ukrainians are dying for values the West claims to defend: freedom, dignity, democracy. And today you choose to congratulate the enemy. History will remember this. Over the past 24 hours from June 11th to June 12th, Russia lost 1,140 soldiers on the front lines. In total, since the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Russian army has lost more than 1 million servicemen, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The total combat Russian losses from February 24th, 2022 to June 12th, 2025 are estimated to be personal. About 1,340,000 Russian troops were eliminated. 1 million lives thrown into the mid-grinder of one man's imperial fantasy. 1 million sons, fathers, husbands sent to die in a war of choice, a war of genocide. How many more? How much longer will the world tolerate this horror? How many more missiles must hit apartment blocks? How many children must grow up without limbs, homes, or parents? Ukraine never asked for this war. Ukraine never wanted blood. But if the cost of freedom is standing alone against a nuclear dictatorship, then so be it. We will not stop, we will not surrender, and we will never forgive. History is watching. The world is watching. Who will stand with us truly, not just in words? President Volodymyr Zelenskyy stated that Kremlin dictator Vladimir Putin engages in talks with Ukraine solely due to the threat of new sanctions. Additionally, isolating Kyiv remains a key objective for him, according to the president's interview with Bild. According to Zelenskyy, Russia needs to present the illusion of a diplomatic breach between Moscow and Kyiv, particularly to US President Donald Trump. When asked why, he explained that this allows Putin to claim the dialogue is ongoing and to use it as leverage to block sanctions by arguing, "We're talking. If sanctions are imposed, negotiations will end." Zelenskyy also noted a second goal behind Russia's approach: conducting dialogue without the involvement of Europeans or Americans, thereby isolating Ukraine.
A prolonged war without support from Ukraine's partners would be an ideal scenario for Putin. He cannot withstand a long war if Ukraine has partners and sanctions are in place.
He added that Trump seems to realize that the Russian side is not being entirely open or honest about the war, and that in his view, Russia is simply lying to Trump. Zelenskyy said he accepts the fact that the US president has repeatedly criticized not only Putin but also himself. He expressed willingness to tolerate such criticism if it helps bring the war closer to an end. Still, he reiterated his position.
In my opinion, Putin understands nothing but strength. and the US has that strength. I sincerely hope that America sees and understands this.
On the topic of sanctions, Zelenskyy criticized the slow pace of implementation, which he believes allowed Putin to adapt, particularly in terms of the Russian economy and military industry.
Putin feels that his economy is suffering now, but he wants to buy more time before tougher sanctions are introduced because he thinks he can hold out a little longer.
He concluded by emphasizing that greater support for Ukraine would save lives. People are not firewood to be thrown into the flames. We don't treat our people the way the Russians do, the president added. If Europe loses Moldova this year, it will encourage Russia to further interfere in the affairs of Southeast European countries. This warning was issued by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy according to the Ukraine Southeast Europe Summit. According to Zelenskyy, Russia has spent the past 30 years trying to keep Moldova in poverty and instability, seeking to bring the country fully under its control. The president warned that if Europe were to lose in Moldova this year, it would embolden Russia to further interfere in the affairs of Southeast European countries, seizing their resources, undermine their sovereignty, and even attempting to rewrite their history. About parliamentary elections in Moldova, Zelenskyy was referring to the parliamentary elections scheduled for September 28, 2025. Earlier, the head of Moldova's intelligence service warned that Russia would attempt to gain maximum control over the Moldovan parliament in 2025. Moldovan President Maia Sandu also confirmed that the Kremlin intends to subordinate Moldova and use it against Ukraine. This isn't just about one country. It's about a front line of freedom, a test of Europe's will. Moldova is not for sale. Moldova is not a pawn, and Moldova must not be abandoned. Every inch of ground Russia gains is paid for with lies, blackmail, and blood. Every inch we lose is a surrender, not just of land, but of principle. Do you hear the warnings, or will we wait again until it's too late? Moldova's future is Europe's line in the sand. Blink now, and the Kremlin writes the next chapter of our continent. European Union Ambassador to Ukraine Katerina Maternova stated in an interview with RBC Ukraine that sanctions against Russia have a real effect because if they didn't work, we wouldn't see Moscow losing access to key technologies for weaponry.
The EU is already on its 17th package. 2 weeks ago, the 17th package of sanctions was adopted. This sanctions Rutsafanshin, this concept and point to $2,000. Interesting website to the 17th package was adopted.
I think it was with quite substantial amounts of listings for the shadow fleet, for individual and company restrictive measures.
According to her, the European Union is not stopping. The next 18th package is already under development. It is expected to include, in particular, expansion of measures concerning the Russian oil sector, banking transactions, and additional restrictions against vessels of the shadow fleet.
We are looking at the oil price cap. We are looking at the Nord Stream pipeline. We are looking at banking transactions and, furthermore, the shadow fleet vessels. But the exact shape of the measures is going to be a close hold until it's decided.
Maternova emphasized that even though the adoption of sanctions in Europe requires unanimity, Brussels has already managed to go through this process 17 times in a row. She also stressed the importance of coordination with Washington.
Until now, we have always imposed sanctions together with the US and other partners. And I know the Ukrainian authorities, as well as European leaders, are engaging with the US. And we all very much hope that this trend will continue because it would be more effective, as it has already.
The ambassador also addressed concerns about the effectiveness of sanctions. I often get the question, are the sanctions effective? Well, we wouldn't be seeing the fact that Russia cannot tap into its supply chain for the various weapons, and they are substituting it with domestic production if the sanctions didn't work, Maternova noted. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe.